What's up guys, iDevice Help here, and today I want to talk about iOS 11, the future of iOS, some of the new features that Apple should add to iOS in order to make it better in my opinion, and some of the features that are almost a must that Apple really needs to change about the current iOS 10. Now, we could be anticipating the first beta for iOS 11 June 5th, okay, so that's going to be the first day of WWDC. Apple usually takes the first day to introduce the new software, and this year iOS 11 Beta 1 should be introduced on that date. And I cannot wait. But in this video, as I mentioned, let me go over some of the features I think Apple should add to improve upon what they currently have with iOS 10 with iOS 11. Now, first and foremost, I believe that everybody can agree that an overhaul to the UI is a must. We've been looking at the same squared icons for a very long time. I think it's time to shift to a more circular icon design. I really like the circular icon design, and I think it goes along well with the Apple Watch as well. So if you have an Apple Watch, or if you don't have an Apple Watch, let me show you here. The design will look pretty similar. See? I think it would go very well. And Apple should definitely do that. Apple should definitely change the UI, at least the icons. Change the icons from the standard squares that we've had since iPhone OS 1.0 to now. So go ahead, Apple, make it happen. Another small change that Apple should definitely take into consideration is live icons. Now, not every single icon should be a live icon. Of course, you don't want to drain your battery. That's one of the main reasons Apple doesn't do this, in my opinion. But we see the clock here that tells the time exactly as it is. Why not the weather? Sometimes you could just glance at the weather, see the temperature and the conditions without even having to opening up the application. Just a small change, but it goes a long way. Another small change that I wish Apple would add to iOS 11 is the ability to hide photos. Okay, so Apple added the hidden photos options within iOS 10, but you don't really hide the photos. You can tap here and click hide, but if you go here into the albums, the photos are still there. So it's almost redundant. It really didn't hide the photos at all. I don't know why Apple even bothered adding that option to iOS. You can't really hide the photos using this option, but I believe Apple should definitely add a hide photos to the Photos application, because you can share photos with friends and families, and sometimes you just want certain photos to stay private and not viewable in any way while you're inside the Photos application. I think it's a really important option to add. And please, Apple, multi-FaceTime support. We have the networking, we have the power, we have the larger displays. Let's go ahead and make this happen. 4 people on one FaceTime call. It's possible, Apple. Now, Apple, to expand on Touch ID, and I'm sure you're aware that you can lock individual applications using your fingerprint. We've been doing this on jailbroken devices for years. Why can't you just bring this to iOS? It is very important in case you leave your phone laying around, or in case there's a bypass for the lock screen, which has happened before. You have that second layer of security which gives you extra peace of mind. Anything. Touch ID can be doing so much more. Just let the users take advantage of that. Oh, and by the way, Apple, you know that iPhone 8 or iPhone X that you're set to launch here in the fall of 2017 with no physical home button, just a straight piece of glass? Maybe we should start thinking about a different way to multitask. How about we swipe from the bottom right to bring up the multitasker, just like that? Or we can just simply swipe from the center to bring the control center. We have the screen size. We can go ahead and set different gestures. Users will understand, and it'll be a really good experience if you do that. I also want to talk about the control center allow within application options. Why don't we add a list of applications here so we can enable or disable the ones that we want? Not every application needs to be disabled with one single toggle, universal toggle, just like you have it here. You can easily add a list of applications, and then the user can decide which apps have access to Control Center. And by the way, let's add Notification Center to this panel as well, because some apps require you to swipe from the top or the bottom. So you can disable those options and prevent those from interrupting what you're doing within apps. And then you can also select which applications will disable these options as well. So we've been doing this for jailbroken or jailbroken devices for quite some time, Apple. So I'm sure you'll be able to do this as well. Of course, this wouldn't be an iOS 11 video if it isn't requesting dark mode. Apple, it has to happen. You have the dark iPhone, the jet black, the black iPhone. Let's make dark mode possible. Users want it. Let's see that. Oh, and while we're adding and changing features to iOS, let's get rid of that annoying volume control hood that you have on iOS 11 right here. See it right on the center of the screen there? When you're trying to do something, try to put the volume up and down, it's always in the center of the screen, and it takes a while to go away. Right here. See it on the bottom or the left side here of the screen? Non-intrusive at all, Apple. It really takes just one line of code and it's done. let's make it happen. Not everybody is right-handed, okay? So iPhone multitasker is only right-handed. Why can't we have an option in settings to switch this so the home page is on this side and the person can swipe this way? There's left-handed people in the world, Apple, so let's go ahead and switch that. Okay. Oh, and by the way, control center, all these toggles here, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep everything in line, everything uniform, but not everybody uses the toggles that you think they use. It would be really, really nice if you gave us the ability to add whatever toggle that it is that we want to put here, because not everybody uses the same shortcuts or the same toggles, Apple. So it would be really nice to do it here on the toggles at the top, and also down here on the applications, the ability to choose which ones we want to place. It's really, really easy to do. And while we're at it, you know how it's kind of difficult sometimes to bring up the volume up and down, or the brightness up and down? Why don't we just turn this sideways and make it up and down instead of side by side? Just a thought, because I do kind of like the page system. It isn't the best, but it isn't the worst. The only problem is when you go to bring up the volume or the brightness, we can just put this on this side and the volume on this side, up and down, and we won't be swiping through as we use the multitasker, or the control center, sorry. Now, other small changes I believe Apple should allow within iOS 11 is maybe an app section here for the control center. The ability to set your favorite apps here. It's really nice, not necessary, but it would be nice to have. Also, the ability to remove the dock. If we don't like the dock, why can't we just remove it? We like a cleaner look. Look how clean this looks. Not everybody prefers or wants to use the dock. It's been proven, Apple. Everybody tries to find hacks around it. Everybody jailbreaks because of it. Just make it happen. And last but not least, I want to talk about reachability, because Apple brings some of the best features to their larger iPhones, the iPhone 7 Plus. And reachability is kind of like not very useful to use your phone one-handed, and there's people with smaller hands, they may want the larger devices because of the features that are exclusive to the larger models. And again, reachability, by double tapping here on the home button, you can go ahead and access elements of the screen that you normally wouldn't, but in certain applications there's options you still can't get to, and it's just very, very annoying. It's not really functional. Well, let me show you here on a jailbroken device. Right here it is, one hand wizard. It allows us to reach the entire display one-handed, and it brings down the entire user interface. If you take a look here at one hand or reachability, the status bar stays up at the top. So with one hand wizard, everything comes down, the entire display. And by the way, Apple, remember we were talking about left-handed and right-handed? It can be used left-handed or right-handed, and you get all your other options here, like your toggles and things like that. So it's something that's really, really useful for jailbroken devices, and these are some of the reasons I jailbreak. So let's hope you bring a lot of these, or most of these, to iOS 11. On June 5th, we may be seeing the first beta of iOS 11. Of course, I'll be covering that. Let me know in the comments down below, is there any specific features or options that you want Apple to add to iOS 11? I'll let you know your thoughts in the comments down below. It's been iDevice Help. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.